Hey, this is Mr. Stein again for Spring Into Math 6. Today we're wrapping up Chapter 7 with interest problems. We've been talking a lot about percentages, and again, this is just building on that same skill. Interest is the percent that a bank pays you for using and keeping your money in the bank. Banks compete with each other for your money because they want to put your money in their bank. They try to give you the best interest rate they can. Now, this means that they will pay you a greater percentage than another bank so that you then put your money in there. The greater the interest rate that they pay, the more likely you are to invest money with them. Now remember, they're taking that money and then they're loaning it to someone else and making money on it. So it's all working together. So the more money you save, the more money you have to invest. All right, so they publish an interest rate, represented by R in our previous equation in the last video and today, which tells you what percentage they will pay you per year, which is represented by time. So the principal is the amount of money that you have to put into the bank. So you can use this formula, so you can use this in the formula I equals PRT in order to calculate the interest that you will earn on your principal, or your saved money. And remember, it's interest equals principal times rate times time. Let's look at how we can use this formula to calculate interest. All right, so let's think about this. You invest $5,000 in a bank for 2 years at a 4% interest rate. What is the interest you have earned after this time? We start by looking at the given information. Then we use the formula to calculate interest. So we have our principal, which is $5,000, the money that you saved and invested. You have the rate, which is represented by 4/100ths because it was 4%. And then we have time, which is represented by 2 because that's how many years you left it in the bank. So now you're going to use this formula to calculate the interest. Now I set this up in my triangle strategy to kind of work myself down. I think it's very helpful. So I had interest equals 5,000 times 0.04 or 4/100ths times 2. So then I just worked the first part. I did 5,000 times 4/100ths, and 5,000 times 4/100ths is 200. And then I put 200 times 2, and 200 times 2 is 400. So the interest you will have earned after that set period of time is $400. So the bank will pay you that $400 in interest over the 2 years at that percentage rate of 4%. Now, a bank is offering an interest rate of 4.75%. How long will it take to earn $500 if you invest $12,000 in the bank? So let's set this up. This time we actually have more information because we actually know what the interest is going to be. So instead of leaving the I blank, which we've done up until now, we have 500 equals 12,000 times 0.0475 because we have 475 thousandths because it's 4.75. So you just move that decimal point over still 2 places times T because now we're trying to figure out how long it's going to take you to earn that $500. So let's say $500 is your goal. We have to set it up to try to accomplish that goal. So then we have $500 and we're going to try to isolate our variable. If you remember from many chapters, it seems like several chapters ago, at least many lessons ago, we want to isolate variables. So we're going to, since it's 570 times t, we're going to divide it out of both sides. So we divide 570t divided by 570, and that will isolate our variable t. And then we take 500 and we divide it by 570. Now, if you had $500 and you're dividing it by a larger number, you're going to get a decimal. You're going to get something that's less than 1. And so what you get is 0.877 is equal to t. But since we're talking about time, 0.877, basically you would round it up and you'd say about 0.88 years to earn that $500. So you're going to earn $500 in less than 1 year if you had $12,000 to invest at 4.75%, which is a pretty good rate. All right, so now let's try one more. If you charge $7,000 on a credit card and your bank charges you 15.9%, how much would you owe after 1 year? Now this is a common problem, that we're always charging money and people are paying interest on it. So let's see how fast this adds up. So remember, we have the same equation. We have I equals PRT. So now let's insert our stuff. So we had I equals 7,000 times, and the rate, and if I go back just to double check my rate, it was 15.9. So when you're borrowing money from credit cards, the rate's very high. So now it's 0.159 because it's 15.9, so you still move it over two places. There's no zeros there, so you can probably already anticipate you're going to be paying a lot of money. Multiplied by the time you have the money there, or by the time it takes you to pay it off, which if I look back, it's 1 year, so it's times 1. So really the times 1 is not going to be relevant because it's just going to repeat whatever the answer is. So now essentially we have to say 7,000 times 0.159. Now, I'm sure you guys can do this if you just, worked it out slowly, but I'm going to give you a little trick. I'm going to switch things around, and I'm going to put the 0.159 on the top, and I'm going to multiply it just by 7. And then I'll account for those extra zeros later, because we talked in previous lessons about when you're multiplying by 10, you're just moving the decimal place over. So instead, I'm just going to leave it blank and then add it later, because it'll make the multiplication so much easier. So now I have 7 times 9, and 7 times 9 is 63, so I have a 3 down and a 6 up. Okay, then I have 7 times 5, and 7 times 5 is 35, plus 6 is 41, so I have a 1 down and a 4 up. Then I have 7 times 1. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 is 11. So now if I were to account for those 3 places, I would just put them down, 1, 2, 3. But what's interesting is because it's a decimal, I'm going to swoop 3 times, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it ends up wiping those out anyways. So think about this. To borrow that amount of money and pay it off at that percentage over 1 year, it's going to cost you $1,113.00. It's quite a bit of money just to borrow that $7,000. All right, so hopefully that illustrates the idea of simple interest and how we calculate interest. Remember, as you're doing the chapter reviews coming up tomorrow, anything you have trouble with, go back, rewatch the videos. They're not that long. Pinpoint the skills you need reflection on and review on, and I know you're going to do great. See you next time.